Hello and welcome to another edition of ChinnyVision. This time we're getting on our bikes. Speaking was one of the big early successes for Mastertronic. Sold 305,000 copies. I think it was their 5th best-selling game of all time. And we're going to start off on the MSX. It is, of course, a motorcycle racing game. Loading screen consists basically of text saying speaking. Starting on the MSX for no particular reason. And you can see their familiar name, MJ Escort, Mervyn Escort, who programmed Death Chase, 3D Death Chase on the Sinclair Spectrum, although Ed Hickman appears to have ported this version to the MSX. There's several tracks you can choose to race on. You can set the laps, you can even preview the track, and there's several difficulty levels as well. To give an idea of sales figures, this game sold 305,000 copies across all formats, as I said, although Formula 1 Simulator sold twice that, and Spellbound, to give comparison, only sold 150,000 copies. So I think, as I say, it was Mastertronic's 5th most popular game of all time. Off we go, and you press down fire to accelerate, you release it to brake, and you pull back to change gears up and a forward to go down. So it's borrowed its control method from pole position, basically. Bit choppy here on the MSX. I've just crashed into some bikes as they go past. It's sometimes very difficult to avoid them. You do have to slow down for the corners, and it's just trying to judge how fast you can get around the corners. There's no warning when you're coming up to the corners. The corner is approaching. You just have to try and look ahead. But of course, future games would actually have distance indicators to the corners, just like real racetracks do. I'm going to crash again. No, not quite. Slightly strange scaling going on the track edges there. It's very blocky and almost looks like an early I hesitate to say an early PlayStation game in terms of that kind of blockiness of the scaling. Of course, this isn't really scaling. And there we go, past some bikes there, just all going up at positions there. Oh, up to 14th, and I crashed and died. As I said, the game was by Mervyn Escort, the elusive Mervyn Escort, who no one's managed to be able to interview, and I believe has declined to be interviewed about any of his games. Originally released on the C64 only by digital integration. Yes, this is a re-release, and that was it. That, I believe, digital integration only published a C64 version. That's at least as I can see in terms of the adverts. Although Mervyn Escort produced a game called Full Throttle, which is absolutely identical to this for Micromega, who also published Death Chase. So perhaps he just licensed it per format to different publishers. From what I can understand, or I can see, all the other versions, barring the C64, crashed again, have been ported by Mastertronic themselves. They've bought the rights to speaking and then ported it. At least that's as far as I can see. The C64 version is the only one that mentions digital integration, and I can't find any record of a Spectrum version of speaking. There's only Speaking 2, and the Amstrad version first came out by Mastertronic, so certainly it looks like Mastertronic bought speaking off of digital integration and then converted it to all the different formats apart from the Spectrum, because of course the Spectrum already had a version called Full Throttle owned by another publisher. Moved across to the Amstrad CPC. Interesting to see if this is similar to the MSX, because again it's by Ed Hickman, who I think he did Chiller as well, didn't he? He ported Chiller to the Amstrad and the MSX. There's all the tracks you can see. There's lots of different tracks to race on. Paul Ricard circuit in France, a Swedish circuit there. In practice, it makes no difference. Well, I say in practice it makes no difference. The thing is, there's no actual scenery, it's just the corners are different. And we start off in the Amstrad with this very narrow screen, big sprites, moves better than the MSX, Although I dare say if the graphics were spread out to the full screen, those... Oh, I've crashed. I dare say that scaling on the track would look just as bad as the MSX if the Amstrad was stretched out like the MSX version is. It's a curious thing with the MSX games, actually. I think it's because the machine's originally NTSC that the graphics always look squashed compared to the other formats. But anyway, here we are on the CPC, and it's far more responsive than the MSX. The MSX version was a little bit sluggish, but it played okay. It was just a little bit slow and sluggish. On the Amstrad, it's very similar, but it's far more responsive and fast. But it's a question of how do you avoid these oncoming motorcyclists. I am on novice, so they're going quite slowly. Digital Integration did another racing game for the Amstrad as well, and actually for the Spectrum as well, called TT Racer. Not by Mervyn Escort or Ed Hickman, but by another programmer. So obviously Digital Integration thought that racing games were something they can make a quick amount of money on, because Digital Integration really wanted to publish flight simulators, but they took so long to program that they realised they needed some quick turnaround games to release in the meantime, specifically between finishing Fighter Pilot and then also be able to release Tomahawk. And Speaking for the C64 came up between those games, and as I say, it was released incredibly quickly by Mastertronic, or re-release. So Digital Integration must have got their development costs back in a few quid, and then decided, okay, we're going to sell the rights to Mastertronic, who then ported it to all the different systems. On the Amstrad, relatively good fun. It's not the best motorcycle racing game on the system, although back when it came out, it actually was pretty good, it has to be said, but easily surpassed by the rather good TT Racer. And there I go, I've completed the game and I ride off into the distance. And you get a finishing position and a lap record and your time as well. Over to the Commodore Plus 4, running a Commodore 16 version of this game. Going to be very interesting to see what they can do in 16K. You've only got 4 tracks to choose from, and oh yeah, off we go. And right, is that the edge of the circuit, or are there... I don't know, it's weird. I was getting the hang of this here. Is that the edge of the circuit, therefore I can drive off the edge? Or is that almost like bollards or sticks or something by the edge of the circuit? I don't know. I've not seen any other bikes yet. There are none others at the start. Oh, there's one. Now I see some cyclists. The road's bigger than on the Amstrad version, or the other cyclists, and yourself is smaller. Oh, no. Oh dear. Yes, if you hit the side, they are bollards / sticks / something that's going to kill you when you touch it. So you can't go off the road at all here on the C16 version. Basic sound effects as per the other versions. Oh, they kind of swerved. Was he swerving towards me? I don't know. We'll have to look at that. He just felt like he was suddenly coming towards me there when I was trying to go wide of him. AI issue? We'll see. Playing on this dreadful official Commodore Plus 4 joystick, which is diabolically awful. There are only 4 circuits here on the C16 version, and the differences between the circuits, actually there is a slight difference because you get different colours for the different circuits, so that's one difference between the other versions. As I said, there's no Sinclair Spectrum version. Speaking 2 came out for the Spectrum, and no Speaking 1, because as I mentioned, the game was probably called Full Throttle and owned by another software company called Micromega. So this is the original game here on the C64. Much nicer presentation, a nice tune on the menu screen. Pack of bikes at the start there. Oh, they get away from you pretty quick. Right. Nice colour cycling on the edge of the track there, making the C64 version look very smooth, and the bike is a Sprite, so again nice and smooth. C64 is not the strongest platform for racing games, so interesting to see how this handles. And off I go, and the corners are a little bit choppy to get towards them. It's such a shame there's no warning on any of the versions where the corners are coming up. Just a little bit choppy there, but not too bad at all. Well, that corner, perhaps it's just the steep corners that are a little bit choppy. That one wasn't as bad at all. It does feel like quite an empty game when you're playing catch-up as well. You've got no idea where you are on the track or how far the other players are ahead of you. But then again, this is 1985, so you can't really complain too much. Here we go, someone's approaching up the front there. Oh, they do come towards you quite fast. Or alternatively, they are going very... I was going to say it's a scaling issue. It's not necessarily... I think they're going very... Oh, it's so hard to avoid them. This is one problem on all the versions. It's really hard to avoid the other bikes. You wouldn't even feel as bad about it if they came crashing off as well. But no, they are indestructible and just keep on racing. I'm going to catch up again. It is manual gears only in this game. I don't think I mentioned that on all the versions. So using the gears correctly is a vital part of the game. And because they've borrowed the pole position control system, it's actually not a chore. Oh dear, I crashed again. It's not a chore when you have to change gear, unlike many other 8-bit racing games when you use manual gears. You're having to push forward, then press fire to change the gear, or then pull back to change gear, and it just gets fiddly. With this, it's hold down fire to accelerate, and then just tap the joystick back to change up and tap it forward to change down. Really, really simple and really effective, and it makes you wonder why other games didn't use that control system. Start finish line. Yeah, I finished last. And you do get... It is quite nice when it gives you all this information at the end of the race. Finished 20th. I do have a... How can I have a new lap? It must be my personal lap record, because how can anyone have... I don't know, came last and got the lap record? So across to the Atari 8-bit, and this is ported by Sculptured Software. If you don't remember who Sculptured Software are, they're the people who later bought us LA SWAT. So, yeah. And off we go. Very blocky graphics here on the Atari. Track moves very smoothly, though. Again, exactly the same control system. Oh, I love the way the corners come towards you. There again, I was complaining about the C64 corners. Really, really smooth here on the Atari. It's a very basic road, but they've got the corner handling routines pretty much nailed. It's very smooth. I hope we can get another corner in a second just to appreciate that. Listen to me, appreciating a corner in a racing game. It tells you how pretty much how dull this game really is, doesn't it? Oh, again, it's so hard to avoid them. Here we go. Lovely stuff. Try and stay on the track. Standard Atari sounds for the engine noise. It sounds so Atari. It's one of those characteristic noises that you hear from your Atari 8-bit. It's this engine noise that you hear in so many games. Over the start-finish line. 250 miles an hour, that seems quite fast. So looking at speaking across all the formats it was released on, well, back in 1985, 1986, when this was released and very quickly re-released onto budget, this would have been a superb value game. The C64 version is the original and probably the best version. The MSX and CPC versions are pretty much identical. The MSX version is the same as CPC but much slower. The CPC version has a slightly cramped and smaller screen, presumably to keep the speed up. The C16 version is very, very basic, and unfortunately I don't understand this thing of having these sticks or bollards or whatever by the side of the road, because it means one mistake at a corner, instead of running onto the grass, you die immediately. It's not so much speaking as a kind of death racer game where you've got to stay on the circuit at all costs. The Atari 8-bit version, yeah, it's okay, it plays pretty well. I think it could probably look better. I don't see why an Atari 8-bit version should look quite that ugly, but when you come to play it, it plays pretty much the same as all the other versions, it has to be said. You can't really complain. Speaking for $199 back in the mid-80s, yeah, it was a superb racer, but today, certainly on the Spectrum or the Amstrad, you can go to a later digital integration game, TT Racer, and play a much more sophisticated motorcycle racing game.